Corgan, welcome back to Australia.
Am I in Australia?
I think so.
All right.
Yeah, Melbourne this time. How you been?
I'm all right. Been a busy year
Yeah.
or two.
Been a little bit crook, a little bit sick.
Yeah, I got a cold.
Yeah. Pushing through. That's what we like to hear.
The beautiful humidity here will soak it right out.
Yeah, hopefully get all that, dry all the oysters up in the head.
Don't describe any of that now.
Now, I wanted to ask about the final instalment of your Tear Garden by Kaleidoscope series.
Yes.
Day for Night.
I changed the title now. I haven't announced the new title yet, but
Okay.
I'm off that title. But yes.
You're not giving us an exclusive then?
No, you're not getting the exclusive.
Damn. Is it done?
No, it's done being written.
Oh, okay.
So.
And so what's the process there? How long do you think? I mean, because you don't want to rush these things, obviously, but did you change what this final installment was going to be?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Originally it was going to be more related to the album that's out now, Monuments. Kind of like, let's call it the dark side of the moon to the brighter side of that album. Mm-hmm. But reading the tea leaves, not so much the commercial tea leaves, but sort of the energetic tea leaves, I still feel we have it in us to make a very contemporary album? Yes, contemporary album. And if I have any criticism of Monuments, I just don't think it's contemporary enough.
Okay.
I did make Monuments as a sort of kind of a subversive thing, almost making an album of what people thought Pumpkin should sound like. And I knew what I was doing, and I had fun with it, and I think it's cool that way. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's contemporary in the way that an album needs to be in 2015 going into the future. So this next album will be that contemporary thing.
There was a quote that I read. It said that you wanted to kick people out of the way with this one. Is that still how you kind of feel?
It changes day by day, honestly. I don't know. I sometimes you feel like you're fighting against something that's not even worth fighting for. Look,
what is that?
I should be proud. Let me put it this way.
Okay.
I should be proud, right? When we started, and I mean we, the Nirvanas and stuff like that, we were up against a lot of things that were very, very difficult to overcome. And we managed to overcome that and open the door and ushered in an era of these types of festivals and thank God there are bands now that don't even care about us. They would never even know that we kind of charted a path that you and other people our age would understand. So I should be happy with that. I'm not happy with it in the sense that I never wanted to be an artist that had to represent an era or a particular style of music.
Gotcha.
It's not my gig. It's not my thing. I'm really uncomfortable with that. And so if there's any fight left in me, it's to make contemporary music and show that the Pumpkins was never meant to be, grandma's music or your older brother's music. It's just not my style. And being lumped in with it generationally and having to talk about the past all the time, and even sometimes falling into that pattern myself because it's comfortable.
Yeah.
It's easy to reference, oh, you understand, I can talk about this, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. It's like looking in a cracked mirror. I just don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, it is kind of a rock and a hard place in so much as it gave you so much, but there is so much more.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What people don't understand is oftentimes when they go into a form of limitation, like, oh, that's all you can be or that's all that is, you're basically saying there is no other story. There's no sequel. There's no other chapter to be told. And honestly, the most successful bands from the rock era that have lasted and survived and succeeded mostly because they haven't changed their sound. And you would say that my idea of always updating the sound is really counter-intuitive to the modern version.
Yeah.
But funny thing is that's not how it's working for pop. So pop is actually much more radical in its changes and its updating its production, where rock is now, where 20 years ago was the complete opposite. It was pop who was stuck, and it was rock who came and ushered all these new production styles. Very strange to me that we're on the other side of the coin.
Yeah, well, I think there has almost been a resurgence, though, in rock. It's almost done that full cycle.
Maybe down here, I don't see it in America.
Really?
No. I think down here you have strong enough radio, strong enough fan bases, and in many ways, I would say, Aussies are more independent-minded than Americans at this point. America's fallen into this very repetitive cycle, groupthink or whatever. It's right out of an Orwell book. Kind of frightening, actually.
Right. They don't want to open the door and see what else is there. They just
I don't feel that
railroad their way through life when it comes to music.
When you see what's celebrated in American culture as innovative, it's actually not that innovative.
Yeah. How do we change that?
I don't think you're going to. I think there's a reason sometimes things need to die. And I don't mean they die as in they're abandoned and you move on to something else. Like, you need to watch the thing die. And whatever America's going through in its own sort of weird, reflective, pop narcissism, disconnection, government spying, continue on. That thing needs to die openly, you know what I'm saying? And I don't mean to be dark about it. I'm saying is there needs to be a public conversation about what's happening. And most Americans, if you ask them, if you sat them down for an interview, they think they're very independent-minded.
Right.
They think that they're individuals, but when you actually scratch beneath the surface of their surface opinions, they're not individuals at all. They watch the same programs, they listen to the same music, they have the same attitudes. The polls reflect that. That's why literally you can do a presidential poll in America and only poll about 1,500 to 2,000 people, and it doesn't matter what 2,000 you survey, you'll get the same response.
Yeah, that's a shame, isn't it? It's
well, that's scary, isn't it, when you live in a country of over 300 million people?
That is very, very scary. And just getting back to the music, how people stay safe, it feels like that's what people are doing, because people are so easily offended now, and people are, it's PC gone mad, I think, And
I couldn't agree with you more.
And so people just want safe, happy, easy. They don't want to challenge. No one wants to challenge, and that's a real shame.
I think, look no further than the fact that there's very little political discourse in modern rock music. There's very little social discourse. Because God forbid you get people lighting you up on Twitter because you said the wrong thing or you offended the wrong group of people. I've said things that are so benign, like not even remotely offensive, and I'll have people light me up. You're offending this. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine living in a world like that, but that's the world that I live in. I certainly don't want to live in, so which is why you start thinking about land in New Zealand,
Yeah. Well, maybe that's why, social media, for that exact reason, has given everyone a voice, but that's not necessarily a good thing, is it?
Well, what did Ronnie James Dio say? If you listen to fools, the mob rules.
A great way to put it, too. And unfortunately, the mob is getting, especially here in Australian politics, it's getting a bit out of hand.
Yeah? I haven't followed lately, so I don't know.
It's gone from, your left and right, traditional left and right, to these fringe parties coming in, and the mob are going, yeah, let's get on board them. And because everyone's got that voice.
I would say in parallel to what you're saying, it is amazing oftentimes to watch the American discourse and watch these kind of social moments. But when you actually look at the statistics, they're not actually supported in the data. The things that really affect people, economy, jobs, are way on the side of the conversation. And we have these massive conversations about race, this, and stuff like that. And it's not reflected in the actual data of the country. It's very strange.
And when you try to tell people that,
forget about it.
No, you're being racist.
One of the scariest. Sorry to interrupt you, but one of the scariest things is when artists stop speaking their minds for fear of the reaction.
Exactly.
And there was recently a poll where they asked journalists, "Are you changing what you're saying, or are you not pursuing certain stories because of the climate in the country?" And 83% of the journalists said they are watching what they're saying and they're watching what they're emailing. That's not a free society.
No.
So of course it trickles down to the artists. We have careers to run. You know what I mean? And God forbid you do the wrong thing. You're not going to get invited to the festival because you're going to have the group picketing out front because you're against, the angry whales or something,
Yeah. Getting back to the music again.
Back to the music.
With such a massive repertoire that you've got under your belt, how the hell do you condense that into a set for Soundwave?
The good news is, in many ways, is that some of the most famous songs are old enough now that the younger audience doesn't really know them. So I'm not as stuck, maybe, as I was 7 years ago, having to play, quote-unquote, the hits.
Yes.
So I look at it as like what makes for a good show and tells a bigger story. Because, we're not a high production value type organization. There's no explosions, nothing special going to happen. It's all got to happen with the voice and the hands.
Perfect. That's what we want to hear. Billy, always a pleasure, mate.
Awesome. Thanks, my friend.
Thank you for spending the time.